Hey, all cronks out there, we're only moments away from the town meeting. Can't wait to watch it with y'all. So, guys, apparently there's still 100 people trying to get in. The line is out the door, so there's going to be a small delay. And as I say that, look at that. They're going to bring the moderator to the stage. So let's get this thing
Excuse me.
on.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I just for a moment? I apologize for the delay in getting started tonight, but it seems we have a pretty significant queue of people outside. I'm told it's well over 100 people that are waiting to check in. Out of deference to that, I don't want to start the discussion and the debate and have people constantly coming in and perhaps asking repetitive questions and so forth. So I'm going to give it just a few more minutes to see how we can clear that queue out, and then we'll get started, just trying to be fair to all parties, okay? So if you could please bear with me, I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
And like I said last night, I'm not always right, but at least I'm first. And once again, my information was correct. Over 100 people. You heard it right there from the moderator. Let's get this thing going, people. I'm just sitting here watching along with the rest of you, just waiting. There's still a ton of people outside the auditorium, and it is going to be one for the ages. All right. And hopefully it's a peaceful one. I know it's going to be a peaceful one. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be back and forth, dink and dunks. It's going to be great. Can't wait to watch it with y'all. You guys think I can entertain you while we wait? Who's going to entertain me while we wait? All right, I'm here watching Red Sonja, a movie from probably 1987, and this was a last minute thing. It was proposed to me to show it for all the people that aren't going or couldn't go and that want to see the melee. So yeah, no, I can't entertain people. I'm not your dance monkey. Okay, it takes me all week just to come up with a Sunday show. I don't do things off the cuff. So you're just gonna have to wait it out like the rest of us. Have some patience, because patience is a virtue.
Give us fucking McDonough, and we'll go easy on you.
Thank you.
What do you think, man? What do you think?
She just stepped out.
Hey, Tracy took off.
Okay.
All right, so this is the total. That's how many are here so far.
476?
And there was nobody in line when I walked away.
Great, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate it. We appear to have been able to move through the queue pretty well, and we've got everybody checked in. Thank you for your patience for that. I'd like to start tonight as we do. For those who are capable and able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And as is our custom, I'd like to invite the chief up so that he can give us a few safety remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Again, just a quick refresher on the exits in the event we have to evacuate the building. To my left down stage front is an exit, over to the right down front, and out the back and to the right is the quickest way out. Any medical emergencies, just give us a holler. We have personnel right standing in the back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, just want to remind everybody where we are. We had a motion on the floor at last session to reconsider one of our articles, Article number 19. That motion was made and seconded. The gentleman making the motion had given me some indication of what the justification for that motion was. I ruled it, as you'll recall, in good faith, which meant that it was then laid upon the table, and we're going to be taking that up as our first order of business here tonight. I do want to respectfully remind folks, though, how the process, since we don't do reconsiderations in Canton very frequently, I'd like to remind everybody what the process is for that. The motion has already been made and seconded. I'm going to go first to the moving party. Mr. Kaplan will be able to speak on behalf of his motion. What I'm asking everyone to remember is that we're speaking on the merits of reconsideration. We're not speaking on the merits or detriments of the underlying Article number 19. If the merits of reconsideration gains a 2/3 or greater vote, we will then immediately move into the actual reconsideration of the underlying article. So I will respectfully try to, the best I can, contain comments. If someone starts kind of deviating and moving towards the underlying article, I will try to bring you back to keep the comments specifically to the merits of reconsideration. So as you're all aware, we do have a town bylaw. Unfortunately, the town bylaw on reconsideration is very short. It doesn't happen very often here in Canton. I've read those 3 sentences probably 100 times now. I've consulted with past moderator Stady and past moderator Hines on their thoughts on the protocols associated with it. I've also gone back and reread the state statute on it multiple times. And everything comes back to also our local Bible, town meeting time, which in our bylaws says this is the guidebook that we should follow for administering the rules of town meeting. What that all points me to is 3 specific things. As you consider the reconsideration motion, what we should be looking for is it to pass one of 3 tests. Was there a significant error or omission in the process? And that's not the process of the underlying project. It's the process here at town meeting, the way we made the motion, it was seconded, the debate and discussion that occurred, the way the vote was called, and the way the vote was counted. Second, is there a significant legal issue? Is there a law or a court ruling that could be identified that was not previously identified that could have a significant change in the legal framework for the underlying article? Or number 3, is there a significant change in circumstances? Specifically what that means is there new and pertinent information, events, or conditions that were not publicly available to any of us when the article was originally discussed and voted upon that would, if now disclosed, could impact what they call the wisdom of the decision. So I ask you to consider, does the merit of reconsideration rise to meet one of those tests? And if so, then you'd vote in favor of reconsideration. So with that being the case, hopefully that's clear. It will need a 2/3 vote. So we're going to open the floor to discussion on the motion. I'll go first to the moving party, Mr. Kaplan.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Gary Kaplan. I live at 22 Sumner Street. I move to reconsider because I believe that the process of the discussion at the last meeting was insufficient, both on the merits of the underlying proposal and the accuracy, the inaccuracy of the budget numbers that were discussed.
Thank you. So we have a motion's been made, it's been seconded. The moving party has offered discussion. Is there any other discussion? Would anyone else like to add any comments on the specific motion to reconsider? And I see a few folks moving towards the microphones.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator.
Good evening.
Before I start my comments,
Alan, if you would, please identify yourself for the record.
Alan Karen, 4 Newell Hagen Court, Apartment H in Canton.
Thank you.
Before I start my comments, I have a question for you to the town clerk. How many people are in the room tonight?
One moment, please. The information I have is we have 476 voters.
Good, because when I came in 2011, I was the last one to make a motion for reconsideration on an article before this year's town meeting. My motion on reconsideration then was the adoption of the meals tax, which in that case, the vote then in 2011 was a tie vote, 133 in favor, 133 against, and the moderator at that time, Dr. Jonathan Arata, casted the time.
If I may, I appreciate that you're asking for the vote, the number of attendees. We have that. Is there something else specific?
Let me compare. It was 266, and when I came for a debate, it was 133 on that motion. But at the time, my argument then was that the town vote took place on a religious holiday.
Okay, they're not there today.
We're not there today. Yeah, there was no religious holiday last Monday night.
Excellent.
That came through.
Excellent.
But to make a long story short, and I think people are there, I do not think that as though I sympathize with the with the mover of the motion to reconsider. I am, just to make story short, I'm voting no on the motion to reconsider because I do not think Dr. Rada's test is the same as your test, in terms of that, but I don't think it meets the test. We had 40 minutes of debate. The motion, I felt that the article, the Finance Committee made a good, writing of their discussion. And of course, I thought they tried their best. I think everyone tried their best. I had the information at the time. I did vote no on the first round, by the way.
Great. Thank you for stating your
So
position.
I'm just for the record. But the thing is, it has to be like compelling. Just not an excuse to have people who were absent last Monday come in for their say.
Great. Thank you.
People have busy lives. That's that.
Great.
So
Thank
it was
you.
close. Close votes happened.
Great. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Melanie Brooks, 4 Pleasant Circle. I vote in favor to move the motion for reconsideration for 2 reasons. I'm a member of the community gardens, and throughout the entire process, we were never notified of any of this. Nobody came to us for feedback or concerns at all, and I was actually caught unsurprised when I got the warrant in the mail that this was up for a vote. And my second concern is after learning after the vote originally had passed that there's an intention of using the fill that was removed that was on site where Plymouth Rubber was from the Paul Revere Heritage Site to backfill into to flatten everything for the Peakwood Side courts. That was, as far as I know, contaminated landfill, and I didn't have any sufficient answers of how that would affect me as a gardener in a place where I can't even put down pesticides or anything. We can't spray, we can't use anything. It's an all-natural garden, and it's a few hundred feet away from where they're going to fill with this. So those are the 2 reasons that
Great.
I have for reconsideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Please stay in motion. Please. Yes,
Nicola Gallagher, 623 Chapman Street, and I'd like to move the vote.
we have, the motion has been moved, so we'll move on to taking a vote to move the vote, and if that passes by a simple majority, we will then move on to taking the vote for reconsideration. All those in favor of moving the question, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, the ayes clearly have it. We will now move on to the vote. All of those in favor, it needs a 2/3 majority to pass. All those in favor of reconsidering Article 19, which, to remind you, is clustered with Article 12, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. Ooh, okay. Can we grab our cards and raise our cards, please? All those in favor of reconsideration, please raise your cards. All right, folks, please don't coach each other. Those in favor of reconsidering Article 19, reopening it, in favor, raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Those opposed, please raise your cards. All right, in an attempt to do this, let's do the aye votes, raising your hands one more time. And the nay votes, please. I think we're going to have to go to a count. I'm sorry. Want to make sure we get it right, folks. So the folks that are counters, if you'd please come forward.
Would the following town meeting tellers please report to the stage? Chris Patty, Liz M. Hart, Gail McHugo, Patrice Wessner, Ellen Jones, Karen Murphy, Linda Berman, and Janice McCarthy.
I didn't bring that thing with me, but I thought this sounded weird.
Yeah.
Move the question, but it's not debatable.
Absolutely.
It's 2/3.
I should have broken that out.
It's fine, it's all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, while we're moving to do the hand count, I just want to remind everybody, I misspoke. The motion to move the vote requires, to move the question requires 2/3 majority. I do declare that it easily had that, though, so. And in just a moment, once everyone's sworn in and given their instructions, we're going to have two counters going to each of the three main sections of the auditorium. We'll have a redundant count done. They'll compare their numbers, and once they make sure their numbers match, we'll call the vote for each of those. There'll also be counters for the front table. So just so we're clear, if you're voting in favor one way or the other, whichever I call, please hold your card up high. Once the counters will start front to back. Once they've passed your row, you can put your arm down, but please do not put your arm down until they have passed your row by a couple of rows to ensure your vote is counted either way, okay? That way everybody's not holding their arms up for prolonged periods of time like I did last week. Yep. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've got the counters in place. All those in favor of reconsidering the article, which is clustered to 12, please indicate by raising your card. Hold your card up. If you would, please stay in order so that the counters are able to speak with each other if they need to. Hold them up high so they know that you're definitely in that direction. Once both of them have gotten a few rows past you, you can put your cards down, but please wait until they're a few rows past you before you put your cards down. This is all those in favor of reconsideration. Those in these few front rows in the center section can put your arms down there well past you. They're past the microphones. Now don't mix yours up with mine.
No, that will, next time. You would, I write every year something like that.
Two of the offer. One autograph for me?
You make me laugh. One more time, commissioner, moderator, Doc, just Doc.
Dealer's choice.
Now, I can still see you in line, in the school, at the cafeteria line, and say something about, how about Reagan? And I go, Reagan? Remember? Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Way back then. Awesome, man. Awesome.
In the middle, we have to do a count again. Their numbers don't jibe, so starting in the front the whole way, please hold your cards up in the middle section and hold them up high until they get a few rows past you, please. Just the middle section. The end sections are okay at the moment. Thank you. You guys are not in the middle section over there.
I knew it wasn't you. You said 2020. Can't win. Can't win. Can't win. All right. I'm sure they're gonna hear that voice.
Florida. Yeah, I don't know. My mother got down in Florida. Yeah. When you get to a certain age, the wheels start to fall off the wagon. What's the old expression? There's only so many bends in a wire. It is what it is.
They don't have to place down where anymore.
No, they sold that years ago. They moved. They bought a house down in Palmetto. next to Bradenton, St. Petersburg.
Okay, yeah.
Right there.
Red Sox used to play down there.
Yeah, the Pirates are in Bradenton. The Marauders.
My brother's on Vero Beach. That's on that lake.
Yep.
I go down there first of all, I try to see if we can. But so one year, it was something that was down there. And when it crossed the alley,
Yep, Alligator Alley.
I went to see the Red Sox.
Oh, they were in Winter Haven, Fort Myers.
Where were they?
Yeah, all over. Yeah. Yeah. Clearwater. Yeah. It's amazing. Absolutely. I just can't get down there in March. That's the problem for me. I'd love to get down and try it.
Spring.
Everything's going on. I don't know if it's, not all of us are Saturday night.
Like Mike. You're killing it. You're up. Better get the end of it.
All right.
Yeah.
I think they matched up. They look like they're walking at pace down. I don't think so. Okay, thank you. We've got the ayes counted, so all those opposed to reconsideration, please raise your cards. Again, as the counters get a few rows past you, you can put your arms down, but please hold them up until they get a few rows past you. We want to make sure we get an accurate count. Thank you.
It's a very tense moment right now. They've already gone through the yes votes. They're about to go through the no votes. And what's going to happen is it's going to be almost a 50-50 vote. It's not going to be reconsidered. And you're going to get Pickleball for the win. That was fast, folks. The counters have already made it up and down the rows of that auditorium faster than you could say pickleball. I'm telling you, it's going to be Pickleball for the win.
Thank you.
Here we go. Drum roll, please. Here's the moment you've been all waiting for. Cinderella moment.
In the right section, we're going to do another count. We're not jibing, so if everyone
not
is
jibing on the right.
opposed to reconsideration in the right section, please raise your cards. Please keep them up. To my right, excuse me, thank you. Is that stage right? I don't know.
Stage.
Over here where I'm pointing?
Thank
you.
It's stage left, his right. Hey, Stacy Q. Some people vote yes, some people vote no. I mean, this is a very split right down the middle. Pretty soon, I think they got to do those little clickers where you can just hit the button and it'll tally, kind of like in all those game shows. I think Canton should adopt that. Canton needs to change their rules. Whoever's on that board needs to start thinking progressively and change the rules. When you go into the auditorium, you should be handed a clicker, all right? And it's got a couple buttons on it, yes or no. That's it, you know, and you just vote. When it's your turn to vote, you vote. You think anybody's watching from the Legion right now? Do you think they got that on the big screen down there? Diane, it's for the people at town meeting. That way they don't have to hold their card up. They can just hit their clicker. It's not for the people at home. We don't want the people at home voting. No, if they're too lazy to get up. Oh, here we go. They've got it. He's doing the math right now with his calculator. His Coleco, he's using his Coleco calculator. 2/3 is really hard to get, folks. Folks, just be prepared that 2/3 is really hard to get. You know, a lot of you don't know this, but zoning is 2/3. Now he's just double checking. We heard that on a hot mic.
Oh.
Here's Doc Stady pondering the moment. Yeah.
But somebody could abstain.
Oh, somebody could have abstained. The hot mic moment, the math isn't mathing, and they just realized somebody abstained.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
Here we go. Got quiet in the house.
I just want to go on record. I have Commissioner Stady here with me, helping me out on a couple of finer points, providing me a little comic relief in this. But I just reminded him that
We
my
heard on the
eye
hot mic.
was actually that accurate. It was almost exactly 2/3. So by a vote of 316 in favor and 156 opposed, reconsideration passes with
Whoa!
68.4% of the vote.
Look at that. And it passes, folks. I knew it all along. I had faith in them the whole time. I totally had faith.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to reconsider,
We're gonna reconsider
Articles
it.
19 and 12. Article 19 being the funding for the
You know what that means,
pickleball.
folks?
I will first go back to the original petitioner.
That means
to
pickleball
see
might go down
where we
tonight.
go from there. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mike Lochran, 258 Norfolk Street, Chair of the Select Board. I'd like to make a substitute motion for Article 19.
Oh, substitute
The
motion.
motion,
by
Louis, if
Doom
you
and
could put that
gloom.
up.
Here we go. He knew something was going to happen. He's going to cut it down to 3 courts.
That the sum of $650,000 be appropriated to be spent by the Select Board for the purpose of constructing pickleball courts at a alternate location to be determined by the Select Board.
They want this so
And to
bad.
meet this appropriation of $650,000 to be transferred from free cash in the treasury of the town.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just for clarification, it's a substitute motion, so can you amplify for us what the difference is?
So we're considering other locations and removing Pequot Side from consideration.
Thank you for that clarification. I have a motion that's been made.
They're doing this so
Please
that
stay in
nobody
order,
can
please.
decide.
I appreciate the
They're
sentiment.
making
A
sure
motion's
that
been
they're
made.
in
Do I hear it
charge of
seconded?
this.
I hear it seconded. Motion's been made and seconded. For discussion, Mr. Chairman. Lochran.
The people don't see this
Thank you.
happening, that this is what he's doing. He's pulling this out of
So,
his pocket.
Obviously, I'm a big fan of the will of the voters. I do want to say that throughout this process, we have worked with the pickleball community, Parks and Recreation, Department of Human and Elder Services, and others.
I hope
And
people
I
down there realize
certainly
that
agree
if
the
that
abutters
passes,
should
then
have been
town meeting does
notified
not
of
get to
this,
decide where the
potential
courts
projects.
will go. He will.
This really is an appropriation ask, and it's really step one in the process. We need to secure the funding so that we can put this out to bid. It would go to BRC. It did go through several public meetings, but as chair of the select board, I own it. We should have reached out to the abutters, and I do apologize.
Oh, he definitely
That
should have
being
reached
said,
out to the abutters people.
most
He
of the
owned it.
people that I've spoken
He's,
to,
he's admitting his mistake,
that were
people.
in favor of reconsideration were not opposed to pickleball, they were just opposed to the location. So throughout this process, we have looked at several locations, but a few more locations have been brought to our attention. I've had the town engineer almost on speed dial with our town administrator. What would it look like if we put pickleball courts at this location, at this location? So we have a couple of other locations. That
Oh,
we're
he
going
had
to
those
explore.
locations in his back
We will
pocket,
make
did he?
sure that the public is notified of any meetings that we have that are discussing these locations. But we are trying to find a location that does allow us to have pickleball courts, but is sensitive to preserving open space and the noise for the neighbors. So I would ask that you would still support Article 19 as it is.
Mike was so
been amended.
disingenuous
So
that
as a
he
matter of
knew
procedure, what I'm going to do
that there was a
is,
way out.
We have a
He
motion
could
that's
have
been made, which is an amendment to the underlying
let
motion.
the
We'll first
count
vote
go and
to
hope
make
that he
sure
gets
that
Pequot
the
side.
body is in agreement that the substitute
And if he
motion
didn't, he just
is
showed
going
what
to
he
be
did.
the
He had
primary
this in his
motion that
back
we act
pocket.
upon. So to clarify that, in case anybody is interested, the substitute motion is the underlying motion, adding a small amount of language to provide flexibility in the location of the project. So with that
taking
being
the
the
money and
case, we're not voting on the underlying, we're just voting to add those few words for discussion, okay? And if that passes, we'll open it to further discussion, and then at that point, we'll also take a subsequent vote. So all those in favor of making the substitute motion as read by the chairman of the select board, the primary motion, yes.
May I just have a couple words, please?
On the substitute motion?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Dave Clow, 6 Paddock Circle. So what was just presented was $650,000 without a plan. What we previously had was a $650,000 article at Pequot, which had a full design estimate. This is a plan that has no estimate. We don't know the location. We don't know what it's going to cost. The $650,000 was a significant amount of that went toward the fill, sound barrier walls to fill in a hole in the ground. So what I proposed at prior meetings was to find a flat piece of land to significantly lower the cost. And I also recommended that the proponents go back to the community preservation and ask for the money back that they returned and didn't ask for again. Back in 2021, they returned $116,000, I believe it was, the exact amount, back to the community preservation, and then are asking for 5 times the amount right now when they just returned that money. So in an effort to finance the project through typical means of municipal finance, I think they have to go back to the drawing board completely, and the motion for consideration should be voted down. And ultimately, if this motion fails, we could use the money for the roads.
Please, sir, if I may, sir, please remain in order. I completely understand everyone is passionate one way or the other, but we want to keep the comments specifically to whether or not to substitute the substitute motion for the primary motion. I would welcome this dialogue on the primary motion after this vote takes place.
And pickleball could potentially be a thing in subsequent years when the appropriate channels are followed and the appropriate financing is secured through other means, rather than just taking all of the Chapter 90 money and using it for pickleball, which isn't the best logical solution for this town at this time. And the original plan also had tennis courts in it. There's no town-owned tennis court. There's only a tennis
Sir, we're
court on the
deviating
school.
significantly from whether or not to substitute the motion. So I'll welcome you back to the microphone if and when we get back
This
to.
goes back to the original plan, Mr. Moderator, but
I understand.
I'll yield back to you.
I appreciate that. We wanted to see if we are going to substitute the motion at this point. Sir, is there a substantive comment on substitute motion?
More questions. Greg Murphy, 19 Wildwood. If I understand it right, basically the substitute motion rules out this pickleball court going at Pequot side, but now gives the 5-member select board the right to put it anywhere else for $650 without bringing it back to town meeting. Is that accurate?
I'll defer to the chair of the select board. However, it's my understanding that it does not take Pequot side off the table. It gives flexibility to potentially use other locations. But again, please, I am going to defer to the chair of the select board to answer your question. Please.
So I apologize, Mr. Moderator, because I was talking to town council. So can I make a friendly amendment to my substitute motion that states an alternate to Pequot side? An alternate location?
Are you
So-
folks, let's just try to get through this. So are you specifically looking to name a specific location?
No, I'm trying to clarify that it will not be Pequot side.
Thank you. So with that being the case, I think I need to take a look at the substitute language again. Can you give me a moment? I assume it's still on the screen?
You can amend an amendment, you can, but you can say if somebody else does, it. You need a couple of words. Yeah, just go back. Delete the Pequot side, it's an alternate location. It's too bad.
So as they ponder with town council, they're trying to find a way. Mike Lochran is finding a way somehow on getting pickleball courts somewhere in town. He is now tried multiple motions. None of them were printed up and handed out as people were filing into the auditorium. And now they're just putting it up on the screen. It is. This is Coffee Girl. It is. This is a shit show. All right. This is Mike Lochran. He was prepared for a 2/3 vote to go against him at Pequot Side, and he had a substitute motion. And they thought they were going to sneak it by the folks by saying, "Hey, we'll do an alternate motion, and we'll have pickleball somewhere else down the line, and just give us the money," where they decide everything. And they got caught. And now let's see what they do. Let's see what they do, because here we go.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, thank you for the question, sir. It assisted me in understanding what your concern was. I think through a meeting of this Mensa group, we've come up with an idea of how we can resolve this very cleanly from a parliamentary position. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I don't even play pickleball either.
I've never tried it myself.
All right, I'd like to withdraw my substitute motion.
If I may, the mover has withdrawn his motion. Do I hear a second? The motion has been seconded. The substitute motion is now off the table. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'd like to make a substitute motion to Article 19, that the sum of $650,000 be appropriated to be spent by the Select Board for the purpose of constructing pickleball courts at a location not at Pequot Side, determined by the Select Board, and that to meet this appropriation, $650,000 be transferred from free cash in the treasury of the town.
Okay.
So is that clear enough?
So
that
we
it's
have
not
a
at Pequot Side?
we have a substitute motion. To be clear, the substitute motion clarifies the point that it's at a location to be determined other than Pequot Side. Am I correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion been made. Do I hear a second? It's been seconded. For discussion, Mr. Chairman.
So the new substitute motion is simply to make it clear that we would not be entertaining adding pickleball courts at Pequot Side. We would look at other locations, as I stated previously.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to clarify, again, I know there was questions, and I did receive quite a bit of communication over the course of the last several days. Article 19 is an appropriation article. It's appropriating an amount of money to allow the project proponent to move forward with a project that, as the chairman has indicated, will have to follow a certain process through a variety of boards after the appropriation, if it's made. Want to be clear, the motion before you right now is to appropriate a sum of money. It's not to design the pickleball courts. Those would end up going through the process where, if this passes, if the appropriation is made, that then you'd be able to appear before the board and anyone else to voice your concerns and help shape the project. And in deference, sir, I know you're at the mic. In deference, I go to Mr. Hines.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Does the substitute motion meet the word threshold? The word threshold, number of words before it has to be printed? I am believing that if there is a substitute motion of more than, I think it's 30 words, that it's supposed to be printed. So I just want to make sure that if someone smarter than me doesn't think it's necessary.
This is when Mike starts to abbreviate all his words, people.
I just was under the understanding that a substitute motion of more than 30 words has to be printed and provided.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Hines. So just to clarify, folks, just to clarify, the motion is the underlying motion with a change, a wording change less than 30 words. And so it is my understanding from an earlier conversation that I had with the chair and town council that that does in fact qualify it as an appropriate substitute motion to be made, that it does not require a printing of X number of copies for the back of the room. So with that, I will rule that the substitute motion is an appropriately made motion. It has now been seconded, and it's on the floor for discussion. Going back to the gentleman, Mr. Murphy.
Greg Murphy, 19 Wildwood. So my initial concern remains. I mean, he initially explained it the way his alternate motion was, that they don't intend to put it at Pequot side, but everywhere else is potentially up for grabs. And the way that motion is written, it basically says, let the 5-member select board decide where it is. The rest of you be quiet. Let them decide. That concerns me.
Thank you for your point. Please. All right, is there any other discussion on the substitute motion? We would be voting to make the substitute motion the main motion. Are we clear? Okay.
People, get ready
We
for
will
a
have
show
one
of
vote,
hands yet
and it
again.
will
Get
be to
ready
make
for
the
it.
substitute motion as read most recently by the chair, the main motion. And it's to have it, and as he said it, and I apologize that I don't have it in front of me, but it's to have a location other than Pequot side is the point. Yes, all the rest of the article remains the same. It's specific to a language change on the location, as I understand it. Correct? All right, if I may, if there's comments, please come to a microphone, identify yourself so that everyone can hear. Otherwise, please stay in order in the chairs, please. Mr. Chairman.
So, thank you, Mr. Moderator. So just to clarify a previous speaker, if the project comes in under 650,000, the money would then go back into the general fund. So if this project comes in less than 650, if it comes in crazy high over 650, we don't do the project.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Ma'am.
Road. I'm just struggling with how many votes and which we're voting, because we kind of keep, I'm just unclear. Are we the next vote that we take will be that we're voting that the substitute motion is now the new vote, and whatever we vote there, that's the final decision, or there's a vote before the final
Sure.
appropriation vote,
One moment, please. Yes, Paul.
right? That's
Please, ladies and gentlemen, to answer the lady's question, thank you for your question. To be clear, the vote that I'm about to call is to make the substitute motion the main motion. Once we do, it's then open for discussion. You guys can discuss that as the main motion, discuss the merits overall of the project, the article, and so forth, and theoretically, it could be further amended. But this would make it the main motion, and if there are no other changes offered, after a further discussion, I would call a vote on that as the main motion. It would either be appropriated or not, and then we'll move on to Article 12.
great. Thank you.
Okay. And just to be clear, for those that are unclear about this, if you vote no on making the substitute motion the main motion, then the main motion, as we voted on Monday, remains the motion on the table that we discussed, with the only location being Pequot side versus the substitute motion, which is any location other than Pequot side. Okay? All right. All right. It looks like we have a little more discussion. Is this specific to the substituting the motion, not the underlying motion? Sir.
The gentleman over there was before me, I think, or the lady now?
Claire O'Toole, 5 Russell Street. My question is, you still have the $650,000 that you're
Yes.
talking about,
Yes.
but that should be reduced. You know, you have no idea.
So if I may, please, let's try to get through this together, guys. Let's try to see if we can do three nights. I understand your point, ma'am. What we're not talking about is the underlying article. We're talking about the amendment that changed location. That's it. You want to have the language be the primary language that we vote upon with the amended language for the new location possibilities, or do you want to continue discussing it with the Pequot side location? That's all we're talking about right now is the substitute motion. Once we're done with that, I welcome debate on whether you think the amount is appropriate or otherwise and so forth. So I just want to get through the substitute motion first. Is this on the substitute motion, sir?
I think I have a different question, and I'll wait for this vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sir, in the front.
Moderator, what are the locations under consideration that are being named?
Those have not been disclosed at this point. I think they're just open-minded to the idea of a process that would potentially identify other locations. Again, we're basing it on the information that's been provided to us. Ma'am?
Maeve Moore, 339 Bay Drive. So in the written amendment that Mr. Lofgren originally had up, it said money to be spent by the select board at a location to be determined. But then when you got up and verbally said it, it said to be determined by the select board. Is that part of the amendment, or is it to be determined just in a general sense? Or will it actually be determined by only the select board?
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So the location would be determined by the select board. And if the language is unclear, I apologize because I gave it to them, but I was reading it out of the book.
Okay.
Okay.
And
All
just,
right.
just to be clear, the project proponent would remain the project proponent. So of course, the project proponent would make decisions on the project after going through whatever the process is that it requires.
Right. Okay. I think I was just wondering because in the written one, like I said, it just said to be determined.
Great.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Ellen Marr, 10 Beverly Hill. Is it possible to just withdraw the motion at this time and come back when you have a plan?
That's not, folks, if I may, that's not what's before us at the moment. So we're going to vote what's before us, and depending on the results of that, we'll see where we go from there. But thank you for the comments, and I'm sure that the proponent has heard them. Sir?
Alan Key, 3 Robin Road. I am troubled by the issue that Mr. Hines raised, and I wonder if town council has weighed in on this. When we came in tonight, there was no substitute motion available in the hall for us to see. And Mr. Lofgren would like to have us think that changing 3 words in the substitute, which is much longer than probably should be allowed. So if I would like very much to hear from town council on that. Through you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Durensis? Sure. If everyone could wait just a moment, he's going to grab the bylaw book to make sure that his answer is very specific. Thank you.
Louis, could you put the motion back up, please?
If he makes select board one word and takes all the ands, ifs, buts, and out, maybe he can shave it. We have every moderator that's been at the town meeting in the last 20 years all huddled together trying to figure this out when Mike Loughran should just give it up. Maybe if they just make it all one word, the whole thing, one word. Take the spaces out. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. Mike wants his pickleball is all going to be in the court, sis. Wait a minute. So people, I really thought I was only going to stream for an hour. I'm thinking about shutting it down, and I'll just let everybody know in the morning what actually happened. No, I'm just shitting with you. guys, guys, I'm on the phone right now with JR, and he's let me know that he's still against this, and he just confirmed to me that yes, he will be the next chairman tomorrow after this debacle. This is more bland than Mike Loughran's suit. What Mike Loughran is saying right now is, hey, what if I give another amendment? Okay, but I make it under 30 words, and we move the money And let's just take it from our slush fund. What if we take it from our slush fund, okay? And I think I got it. I think I got it. When did Orville Redenbacher join our select board? You guys voted for this guy. You guys voted for this guy. Oh, yeah, I got that one. I got it. Glug, glug, glug. Mike Loughran's still trying his hardest to get that pickleball. Meanwhile, Crutch McGee is still sitting down in his spot. JR, I love you. I'm just joking. Oh, and in here comes Trish. Trish is giving her 2 cents. And Susan's just glad that she didn't come up with this idea, because that would have been one and done on the board. They are so happy. These three right now are so happy that this is Mike Loughran's doing. That's the new power structure, people. You look right there. The 3 people on the left, that's your new power. That's your new power couple or triplet or trio, okay, on the board. Not that guy up there in the gray suit or tan suit or whatever color that thing is. Anybody notice the one person missing? Huh? Where is Chicken Palm? Where's Chicken Palm on all this? Months of planning went into this, and you're seeing them cutting and pasting and editing on the screen as they go. This is how bad they want this pickleball court, that they're willing to look like idiots to get that thing to go through. Somebody desperately needs that $600,000 bid. The only good thing is that right now 3 members of the select board are probably against this. I can't say if they are or if they're not. But if you delay this enough, maybe you'll get 3 members of the select board that'll
Ladies
just
and
let this
gentlemen,
thing
if I
die.
may. Thank you. So first, may I say, all of these efforts have been an attempt to try to be responsive to the discussion on the floor. So they're all made in good faith, and I appreciate everyone's patience. We have on the board is what's printed in your warrant with the addition of, I believe, 10 words that are underlined on your screen. That, I think, clarifies the location issue, clarifies the word count issue, and also draws us back to the underlying motion that's printed in your warrant that everyone received. So hopefully that clarifies most of those points, but I do have two folks at the microphones. Before I go back to the chair, ma'am.
Mary Jane Mangan, 26 Angela Street. I am opposed to the amendment because it gives free rein for you to pick wherever you want, and the town has no say. Yes, you can notify the abutters, but the rest of the town doesn't get a vote, and it's obviously a hot topic. We're having a special election, it's my understanding, in November, and I think they should come back with a real plan, and we can vote on it in November.
Great, thank you. And just to clarify, there's the potential for a special town meeting, not a special election, but thank you.
The special town meeting, that's what I meant.
Great, thank you. All right, sir.
Good evening. Jim Bovey, 25 Chapelgate Road, Canton. I do play a lot of pickleball, probably 7 days a week up and down the East Coast. What most of the towns are doing are taking tennis courts and converting them to pickleball. What I wanted to say is Court 1 at Canton High has 4 temporary pickleball courts outlined. They share it with the tennis group at the school. If we were to take Court 1 and convert it to 4 permanent pickleball courts, it's already paved, it's already fenced, it would cost less than $100,000.
Sir, if I may, we're on the substitute motion, so that your comments are welcomed once we dispense with the substitute motion vote, but we're specifically speaking about the merits of the substitute motion.
What I'm suggesting is we maybe convert those words a little bit to the pickleball court, tennis court number 1.
I don't think we have the ability, I don't think the authority within the town meeting has to be able to discuss property under the control of the school department. That's beyond our scope tonight, so we're not able to do that. If you support the substitute motion, and if the substitute motion then passes the body, then I would welcome the dialogue to occur with the project proponents as to where anyone feels is a suitable location. To the point, the earlier point made by the proponent, he said that in the event that the project comes in less than the appropriation, then the surplus funds would revert back to the general fund. So if in fact your proposal were viable, and if the department which you're referring to was amenable, and if the budget came in lower, I think we understand what the impact would be. But please, let's focus on whether or not we should substitute the language on the screen here for what's printed in the warrant, and then we will get to the substance overall of the project. So you're welcome to stay at the mic and repeat your comments when we get to that if you'd like.
Thank you for now.
Thank you. Ma'am.
65 Bayberry Road. Marcy Hirsch, Bayberry Road. My understanding is that any actual plan, once this is done, even if it's picked by the select board where it's going to be, there will be some kind of a vote afterwards to confirm that that is going to be the thing once everything is figured out. Is that correct?
So, ma'am, if I may, the action before us tonight is to appropriate $650,000. The proponent has already outlined in his earlier remarks this evening that there is a process that the project would go through, but this would not, as my understanding goes, would not be coming back to town meeting for any action other than potentially a supplemental appropriation, but that's not what's on the table right now. Okay, I don't see anyone else at any of the microphones, so hearing none. The vote we are about to undertake is not to approve the funding for the project. The vote we are about to take is to have this be the main language, the substitute motion, be the main language we will then further discuss and then ultimately vote upon. All those in favor of substituting the language on the screen for the printed language in your warrant, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No. I declare that it passes. 2/3? Okay. So now we're going to move on to the underlying article, which is the language on your screen. On the merits of the project, Mr. Chairman, I defer to you first if you'd have any interest in making further comments.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mike Loughran, 258 Norfolk Street, Chair of the Select Board. So as I mentioned before, we are looking at other locations. We've already started looking at locations and found that they are cost prohibitive. We need to work with conservation on some additional ones, so I don't have a definitive location, but as the moderator said, that this is an appropriation of the funds so that we have the money to start this project, and then it would follow all the process that it's supposed to follow, putting it out to bid, going through BRC, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll move to the far microphone, sir.
60 Oak Road.
Could
I
you-
motion
could-
to withdraw
could-
the article.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah.
The microphone wasn't hot
Yeah,
yet.
Jeffrey Sussman, 60 Oak Road. I motion to withdraw the article.
Yeah, so I can't rule that motion in order because you weren't the moving party. So the motion that you could make would be to postpone indefinitely.
Okay. I motion to postpone indefinitely Article 19.
Okay. Please stay in order. We'd really like to get through this. I know you guys all would like to resolve this tonight. So we have a motion on the floor. It's clearly been seconded. So for discussion, sir, on your motion on why you would like to postpone indefinitely.
It is clear from the proceedings tonight that there is no clear plan forward, and without a plan, there is nothing we really should be voting on because the substance isn't there. And to keep this brief and to move the meeting along, I think it is prudent to postpone this debate, or whatever the language was, indefinitely.
Okay. So discussion, please, discussion on the motion. Ma'am? No? Sir? Is there any further discussion on the motion? I see none, so I will call a vote on the motion before us. Oh, please, yes.
Donald Hunsicker, 62 Green Street. My question is, if we withdraw this motion, is there any reason why the board cannot continue to search out additional sites and come back at a later date with a specific proposal?
I do not believe there would be any prohibition against the proponent continuing to work on the plan and bringing it back at a future time for future appropriation.
Okay, so may I move to call the vote?
Regrettably, you can't make a comment and move the vote. So we've got a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion? I think we're going to accomplish your mission anyways. All those in favor of postponing the article indefinitely, please signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? All right, let's try that again. Let's do, all those in favor signify in unison by saying aye. Aye. All of those opposed, please signify in unison by saying nay. All right, let's see the cards, please. All those in favor of postponing indefinitely, please raise your cards.
They should have given everyone paddles tonight instead of cards.
Thank you. All those opposed to indefinite postponement, please raise your cards. The ayes clearly have it. Please stay in order. We have more business to conduct. And as I think you all saw on Wednesday, there are possibilities of people introducing curveballs.
Curveballs or paddle balls. They're gonna do. He's gonna come up. He's gonna wait for people to leave the auditorium and come up with a paddle ball.
We're done with that. Ladies and gentlemen, could we please stay in order? Could you please stay in order? We have more business to conduct. Ladies and gentlemen, please. So as I had previously mentioned on Monday evening, we had clustered Articles 19 and 12. That was discussed, that was mentioned during the votes that took place on Monday. When the motion to reconsider was made on Wednesday, I reminded the body that a motion to reconsider one of the clustered articles is a motion to reconsider the other clustered article. So we are now going to move on to Article 12 for reconsideration. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee would like to move a revised motion for Article 12, as should be presented on the screen.
Mr. Chairman, could you kindly just point out the differences in what you have on the screen from what's printed in the warrant for the
Okay.
folks in attendance?
Before we second it, or under discussion, or now?
Right now would be great,
Okay,
and then we'll
sure.
move to a second.
So the primary difference between this and the original Article 12 is that the original amount that would be transferred from from free cash would be $168,000. This would allow the funds that would have been used for Article 19 to be put to roads. And so therefore, it would move it to $818,000 for this year from free cash instead of the $168,000. One key point on that I'll point out now or afterwards as well is that if there's the hope to come back of special town meeting and vote something regarding pickleball, this would likely eliminate that for this fiscal year because it would use the remainder of the free cash that we have for this fiscal year.
Okay, so just to be clear, we have a substitute motion's been made. That substitute motion merely changes the dollar values of Article 12 as printed in your warrant, and it's also referenced on the screen to my right. Is everyone clear that we're voting on making this substitute motion the main motion? Okay, all right. All those in favor of making this substitute motion our main motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No. I think the ayes clearly have it. So this is now our main motion. On the main motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Moderator, while the Finance Committee did support Article 19, and as originally motioned on day one of the annual town meeting, given the vote tonight by town meeting, to not currently support Article 19 as either originally motioned or revised tonight. The Finance Committee had voted a contingency motion, the one that's on the screen behind me, that the Finance Committee recommend that $818,000 be appropriated to be used instead of the $168,000 for Article 12 to provide more financial support for the town's road infrastructure. As you may have read in our finance recommendation book, the town has a very strong need for further funding for roadways, and whereas this free cash will now, at least not at this point, be used for that pickleball project, we believe that it would greatly serve the community to continue to work on the town's pavement management system, to continue to try to update and upgrade rather the roads in the town. This would supplement the funds that the town receives anyway from Chapter 90 Commonwealth funds, and this would allow the town to have more funds to move more road projects as well as before the start of the next fiscal year, and while we're waiting for those Chapter 90 funds to come. I think that, as many of us who may be drivers know, the roads do need work, and while free cash is a rechargeable source, it will, based on our revenue forecasting, we'll have more free cash next time that could be voted on next ATM. As I had mentioned in my preamble, voting this $818,000 of free cash for expanding the road allocation would prohibit free cash from being used for a pickleball court project at special town meeting, but not next annual town meeting, because then it would be a different reservoir of free cash.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any further discussion on the article? Mr. Hines?
I'm sorry. Even a veteran, I'm confused. It was my understanding that we were reconsidering the previous article. Clustering is a form to handle two items one after another, but they're still separate articles. So are we now asking to be reconsidering a different article than we were previously being asked for?
Yes, sir. So to clarify.
So this is now a different reconsideration?
Yes. So to clarify.
So we're coming back next week?
No. To clarify, when the motion was made on Wednesday of last week to reconsider, I reminded the body that previously Articles 19 and 12 had been clustered. The reason for the clustering, and there's a variety of reasons that different articles get clustered, but the reasoning that we used this year was that the outcome of Article 19 was going to have a direct impact on the substance of Article 12. As you saw, the desire was to utilize X amount of free cash for 2 articles. If it passed for both, then it was as printed in the warrant. If it did not prevail in Article 19, then the proponent wanted that additional amount of appropriation to occur in Article 12. So we bundled them, we clustered them accordingly, we took them in that order accordingly, and when the motion to reconsider was made, I reminded the body that a motion to reconsider one would be a motion to reconsider both. So that was duly noticed on Wednesday of last week. Thank you for the point of order. And as a result, as I did my earlier remarks tonight, I again reminded everyone as we moved forward that if the motion to reconsider passed, it would in fact reopen both of these articles, which is what we've done. So the proper notice was there, and I have confirmed that with council. Thank you. Appreciate the point. Yes, sir.
Darren Bowmeister, 1 Glendale Way. I just had a clarification with regards to what the gentleman's earlier remarks about the amended budget here. So is it my understanding then that should this pass, then basically any kind of allocation for pickleball will, because there would be no cash for this year, it would be punted to next year at the earliest? Is that?
So I want to be clear that the appropriation that was previously proposed for Article 19 is now being allocated in Article 12. I don't know what the accounting might look like later in the year. It's entirely possible that a different funding source may come forward at a subsequent meeting, or they may wait until a subsequent fiscal year. So I don't think any of us can make a commitment what will happen in the future with another article. But I don't think this necessarily forecloses the potential for a pickleball project to be brought forward at any point. I don't know for sure. I don't think anyone else can make a full, true representation as far as appropriations.
Tomorrow, check into our
Mr. Chairman,
Printify
for
store
clarification.
for the
Thank you
Canton
for
Chronicle
the question. I
pickleball
think that
T-shirts.
The free cash is a resource that we reserve 15% of it, 15% of the overall allocations for reserve. And so if you look at through the articles, there's a number of different things that use free cash as a funding source. So we've designated so much of surplus free cash that can be spent this year while still retaining our 15% reserve. And so we would, in general, not go below the 15% because it's highly valued for bond rating. And while someone could say, well, let's spend that money, what would end up happening is we would end up paying a lot more in interest when we went out to borrow if our bond rating was affected. And it's also good because if you have a shock like, let's say, COVID, where suddenly the town had a shortfall of revenue compared to what was forecast, then we have that reserve. So when I was saying that it would, free cash would not be available, it is because of the amount that we've put into the budgets of the various money articles to use for free cash. There would be no funds that we would have other than the 15% that's reserved. But that's an annual revenue stream that comes in, and so there would be another set of free cash next year if we use that all for roads and there was no surplus that happened to develop. We would just have to find another funding source for pickleball if there was one prior to next town meeting, annual town meeting, I should say.
Thank you. Okay. Ma'am?
Hi, Kathy McCormick, York Street in Canton. I just have a quick question. I thought originally the $650,000 was going to come from mitigation funds?
No, ma'am. It was always from the
It was
reserve
always
fund.
just from the regular budget?
Yes,
All right,
from the
all right.
reserve fund. As printed in the original warrant, it's in Article 19.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as you see printed on the screen here for the total appropriation of $818,000, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? I declare the ayes clearly have the majority. Thank you. Okay, we will now move on to the budget, which is Article 36. Sir, do you rise for a point of order?
Yes, sir. Greg Murphy, 19 Wildwood. wasn't that vote just to accept that as the amendment, and then we still have to vote on the amendment?
I believe we had done that previously.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the budget. And for the folks that are going out, I think you're not actually leaving, you're just going to take a break. We're going to be appropriating well over 100 million of your dollars in the next few minutes, presumably without you. Could we please come to order so we can keep moving forward? Call to the chairman of the Finance Committee, sir.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee moves motion 1 of Article 36 as printed in the warrant.
Article 1 has been moved and seconded. For discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion 1 is to transfer money from various funds into the general fund. This includes transfers from the 14 funds that are listed in the motion into the general fund for a combined amount of $4,440,377 for the listed purposes. This reimburses various expenses to be incurred by the town's operating budget, which will help pay for the fiscal year 26 operating budget. The methodology for allocation of these funds is reviewed by the town's auditors to ensure costs and funding are allowable and that the town is compliant with Proposition 2.5 requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any further discussion on motion 1? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? I declare the vote is unanimous. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee moves Article 36, Motion 2, as printed in the warrant.
Motion made and seconded. For discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion 2 is to set the salaries and compensation of elected officials for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2026. In previous years, you may recall this was a separate article to address the salaries and compensation of elected officials in the warrant. The elimination of that separate article this year and the relocation of the actual language that was in that article to Article 36 and the breakout of that article to include this motion, Motion 2, is to reflect what is considered best practices under the advice of town council, and it still includes the same compensated elected officials.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any further discussion on motion 2? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? I declare the vote unanimous. It is approved. Mr. Chairman, motion 3.
Okay. Article 36, Motion 3, we move, the Finance Committee moves the Article 36, Motion 3, and I'm going to go through the line items, and I think if anyone has any concerns and wants to discuss any of those separately, they can place a hold.
So we have a motion that's been made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. For discussion, Mr. Chairman.
So the Finance Committee moves the first item, which is the school department budget, which is Department 300, and the Finance Committee moves that $59,033,748 be raised and appropriated for Department number 300, the school department.
Is there any discussion on that line? Mr. Chairman.
Do we vote those one at a time or all together, right? Well,
So let's do that. Let's call for a vote on the line as just proposed by the chairman. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I declare it passes unanimously. Mr. Chairman.
Okay. The Finance Committee moves the following municipal budget items. And again, if you want to discuss any of these individually, you can place a hold as I go through the list. Assessors, Department number 141 for $560,407. Building Department and Zoning Board, Department numbers 241 and 176 for $506,942. Central Maintenance, Department numbers 192 and 632 for $1,686,010. Committees and Commissions, Departments numbers 131, 177, 182, 184, 544, 545, 546, 547, 548, 691, and 692 for $175,534. Conservation Commission, Department 171, for $191,520. Elder and Human Services, Department 541, for $510,888. Executive Area, Departments numbers 129, 151, 154, 179, 195, 244, and 910 for $1,973,384. Finance Department, Department numbers 133, 135, 145, and 155 for $1,606,529. Fire Department, Department numbers 215, 220, 221, 231, 232, and 291 for $8,178 and $8,178,341. Health Department, Department 510 for
All right, folks,
$476,719.
I guess, the news is that
Parks and
pickleball
Recreation
has
Department
been
numbers
voted down.
542,
The rest of this is just the
630, and
formalities to
650 for
end town meeting. I'm going to
$1,162,220.
end it now. Thank you, all of
Planning
you
Board
that have come in
Department
and
number 175
joined
for
and chatted with me and watched
$84,126.
as this historic night of
Police Department,
beating the
Department numbers
pickleball
210 and
paddling
292 for
bandits.
$6,549,776.
And I guess we will see you all on Sunday. All right, see you guys all Sunday.
Public Library,
Thank you,
Department
thank you,
610
thank you.
for
And like I said, check into the store, and you'll see
$1,160.
we'll have some
Public
pickleball
Works, Departments numbers
T-shirts
400,
and
410, 420,
other items
425,
on sale at
427,
the Canton
and
Chronicle
491,
Printify Me store.
492
All right,
for
thank you all for coming, and you guys have.
$3,067.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You're right. I can do
Town
that
clerk
before
and
we leave.
elected
I'll give you all
officials,
McDonald's.
Department numbers
Give us fucking
161
McDonough.
and 160 for
And we'll go easy on you.
$368,139.
There you go. Thank you guys for checking in with me.
Veteran Service.
Chronicle Crew, we're on the street, digging up truth with fire and heat. Select board sweating, boots are loud. We ask the questions, they're not allowed. Lang's got affidavits full of holes, while Boozy's digging, bless her soul. Jen and Carrie changing tales. We track the texts and read the trails. Police reports that disappear. We say the stuff they fear to hear. Canton strong and snarky too. Connor Bull's coming right for you.